Hey, how's it going? I have a couple of ideas for you to pursue, but I wanted to show you on screen. So here's my promised YouTube video. I think in class I said that I'd make YouTube videos. Um, it's a lot easier because you can see what I'm working on at the same time. I just had, uh, you heat up a tortilla in a pan, then you butter it and you put cinnamon sugar on it. I'm just like, so good. Um, so sorry it took me this late in the afternoon. I need my afternoon snack. So you were using Academic Search Ultimate. Let me show you one thing that you can do that might get you into more credible scholarly material. And I have dogs clicking around in the kitchen here. So Academic Search Ultimate, this is an EBSCO database, yes. But this one is kind of general, and I'm going to show you a different one that I think might be better. But when you use this one, if you type in anything, so I'll do, so there's learning disabilities. Say I search for that. The dog drinking water, in case you're wondering about the sound effects. Okay, there's 32,000, that's a lot. But one thing to be aware of is way over here on the side. I'd recommend clicking scholarly, peer-reviewed, and references available, because magazines and newspapers and other things that are just kind of like quick, easy to digest news are not scholarly, but they're going to show up in here. But that quick to digest stuff is not typically going to have references, nor is it going to show up in peer-reviewed journals. So this is one way to help. Not every database does this, but let's see what happens. So we went from 32,000 to, oh, that's not as much as I thought, 29,000. I thought it would be like this big cut. References available. Doesn't look like it's picking it. So that might be one thing. Conversely, I would recommend a different database. So the good people in education are very, very interested in outcomes or ways of measuring the value of education. So if we go to that education full text database, it also is an EBSCO database and it looks and feels the same way, but it's only looking at education research and literature produced by um, education scholars, even teachers show up in here. Education full text. So it looks the same. And there's less of that magazine-y content in here. So here's my next thing that I had for you. If you do learning disabilities, and it's going to search. I don't want it to search. I want to show you something. I'll just have to show you in the search box that's up here. Learning disabilities, there are several types of learning disabilities. A common one is dyslexia, for example. But it seems like from the searches that I did, they're all kind of lumped together, which is good. So we don't have to search for those specific learning disabilities. But I still recommend putting it in quotes. And I also recommend, well, it looks like they refer to it learning disabilities just in general, so that's okay. Now, if we wanted to do drug abuse or criminal activity, I started out by doing drug abuse. I did drug abuse. So I'm looking for information that looks at learning disabilities as a disorder, and drug abuse is maybe one of the evidence of evaluating whether somebody is affected by it. And we're in the context of education. And I'll show you what I learned as I went. There's only 23. That's really not a lot, is it? One problem that I ran into, and you can see it right here, is I used the wrong terminology. And that's okay. Sometimes we have to change it as we go. So if I looked for substance abuse, so maybe that's the more official term, we go from 23 to like 50, not a huge amount. So there's not a lot in there. So here's my proposal, and this is something, maybe I'll send the video to your instructor as well. When you're looking at learning disabilities, substance abuse later in life might be like several steps down the road. And so if there's a successful intervention for a learning disability, then, so for example, counseling or medication or a special education program, special education teaching, whatever that intervention is, the outcome of the intervention or the evidence of the success of it is rarely going to be like negative things. It's going to be positive things, like what did they achieve? And in education, a big, big deal is educational attainment. How far does somebody go? What grades do they get? And things like that. So I wonder if you could look up two different sections. So that first chunk would be educational attainment. And the only reason I know this terminology is because I've worked on campus for a while. And educational attainment is a big indicator of department or college success. So what would happen if we looked for this first separately? And so you could see, so this is almost like geometry. If learning disabilities equals a certain educational attainment, could we then say that educational attainment is an indicator of whether somebody is going to be more likely or less likely to be in trouble with substance abuse? So this is my proposal. Instead of looking up learning disabilities directly going to substance abuse, there's like a medium step on the inside. Would this be okay? Talk to your instructor and see if this would work out. So another way of looking at it, though, is when you need to find something that is genuinely a scholarly article, A, and B, it has it's an experiment and it's research unto itself. You can avoid the words review, and you can look for words like the name of a methodology. So a name of a methodology might be a longitudinal study. So here's longitudinal. Or it could indicate like an experiment. So here's an examination. It might be a review, it might be something like that. So look for those things. My daughter's my daughter's here. She wants another one of those cinnamon sugar tortillas. So chew on this idea and experiment in that education full text and let me know how it goes. This is something we may have to negotiate with your instructor. And reach out back to me and let me know how it goes, okay?